Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in today. I have a pretty cool model to show you guys around. This is none other than the Lexus LFA made by Autoart in 1/18 scale. It is finished on this matte black paint with black interior and chrome black wheels. But yeah, let's kind of just jump into it. These models are, pretty relatively expensive, I think. I think right now the market prices for these are around $235. But I can see these selling out and maybe being a little bit more expensive in the future because there's just a lot of LFA fans out there. So this one might be a good model for you to pick up. It is like fully metal, as you can hear. It's just super heavy model. It feels really good in your hands. I mean, it's a tank compared to some of the newer Autoart models. But yeah, let's kind of jump into some of the features and details. So I'll start off with one of my favorite features on this car is the hood itself. As you can see, it's finished with kind of these real mesh grills, and you can kind of make out some details behind there so you can see some stuff through there, and I think that's a really neat feature for them to add. The Lexus badge up front is a real badge, and it looks pretty decent. Headlights themselves, not really too much crazy stuff going on, but you can make out like the main headlight bulb and maybe some of the daytime running lights if there even is any on this car. But there's some detail in there that looks pretty good. But looking down here underneath, there is a real mesh grill running along the whole entire front side of the car. There's not really too much detail to see behind there, but it is nice that they added that little feature. And then on this lower front split right here, there is carbon fiber, so really nice. Moving down towards the side of the model, we have a kind of a turn signal indicator, or I think that's just a reflector. But the wheels themselves are finished kind of in this black chrome, and they really do look really good. There's drilled rotors sitting behind those wheels, and then red brake calipers that have the Lexus riding down the side of them, so they look pretty good. On the center cap, you do have the Lexus badge, so that is pretty nice. Coming down here, so this I think would be the I'm not too sure actually, but there is a little badge or something sitting right on the side of that. But moving towards more closer to the rear, looks like we have a carbon fiber side skirt right there, and then obviously they added little details for the keyholes. And then like right up here, I think there's a door release button. But I think they sculpted this model really nicely. As you can see, the air vents that come in through the side. Obviously they used kind of real mesh, it looks like, sitting behind there. So it does look really nice. Down here as well, we have another air intake, and you can't really see much through there, but it does look really good. There's kind of a gas cap right there. And they just molded that right onto the body of the car, so it looks just fine, but it doesn't look amazing, I would say. But the rear of this model, I think, is where it stands out. Just kidding though, because as you can see, they didn't really do a great job. I mean, I'm not too sure how the real car looks, like if they had real mesh on this, rear section of the car, but right here, as you can see, they just used kind of a straight plastic brick, and it kind of looks a little cheap, as you can see, and I'm kind of surprised that if that is a real feature of the car, that Autoart didn't kind of replicate the real one. So moving down though towards the rear, there is like these 3-piped exhaust tailpipes that the LFA is kind of known for, and then sitting down there, they do have more real mesh on the lower diffuser, so that does look really good. The diffuser itself, though, it looks like it's just kind of finished in like this matte black. It looks like there might be a little bit of carbon fiber, but I think for the most part, it is just matte black plastic right there. So kind of, not great features, I would say, on this rear section of the car, but you do have a rear wing that does pop up. And then I forgot to mention the taillights themselves actually do look pretty decent, as well as the logo and badging on the rear of the model. On the upper deck, or for the rear glass right here, we have kind of the lines that do the defrosting or defogging, so that is a cool feature. And it actually does pop up, so let me try to get that open real quick. I did have a pretty hard time trying to get this open. I found the best way to open up the rear deck lid is to first pop up the rear wing, which there is a button right under the exhaust that you just hold down and press, and then you get this rear wing that shoots up, which is pretty sweet. As you can see, they kind of do have like the hinges and everything, the hydraulic system that activates the wing, and then it kind of pivots a little bit, as you can see. I did notice on mine though, this doesn't really sit very flush. So if you're gonna pick up one of these used, make sure to check out that feature, because I think some of these springs kind of give out. They feel really like wonky. So, you know, they didn't really do a great job on that, but it's there and it's kind of cool. So nice little feature to have. But like I said, this rear deck glass does indeed open. So I found the best way to do it is to get your little key thing, and then you could just open it up through there. And as you can see, it doesn't really it's kind of very flimsy, but they did add these little struts on there, so it does look pretty cool when it's open. There's kind of a view of that. But behind here, we do have all carpeted interior, and let me just give it a feel. So it feels really nice, obviously, and it just fell down. So like I was mentioning, it doesn't really stay up, and it feels super flimsy in your hands when you're kind of opening up the rear deck lid. So that is kind of a letdown, and just kind of interesting that it's not as sturdy as you would think, like just all the opening features, but the body of the model itself is like a brick almost. So that is kind of cool. I will go ahead and open up this front engine bay real quick. So let's take a peek at that. If I can get it to open. It's kind of hard doing these one-handed. So there we go. A really good looking engine bay, I would say. As you can see, they even added the little hinges up there in the front. And then the V10 engine that the LFA has been infamous for. As you can see like kind of all the hoses and everything that runs through all the caps, and nice screw bolts coming up here in the front. So just a lot of pretty good detail up in the LFA, but you know, nothing really too crazy going on, but it does look good, don't get me wrong. I did forget to mention that it looks like there's a little badge on the top of the V10 engine. I'm not too sure what that says. Looks like it's just like an F Sport badge. So yeah, pretty nice. I think this actually might be the F Sport badge. It just looks a little funny, so pretty interesting. But that's kind of the front of the car, and let me go ahead and show you guys the interior. So let's see, and what's kind of cool in this model is you don't really need a little door key to open the doors on this model, because since there is kind of like a dip right here, you could just stick your hand in there and nicely open it. So let's take a peek at this interior. Obviously, this is kind of like the standard Lexus interior for the time. I mean, we have bucket seats that look pretty decent. I mean, they're kind of just bulky plastic though, no real like, you know, stitching or anything on the seats themselves. And the seat belt runs through the little loop on the side, so that does look pretty good. Obviously carpeted interior, and there is a bit of carbon fiber on the door sills, as you can see, but just a lot of black going on in here. You can make out the carbon fiber around the steering wheel, and there's some paddle shifters behind there, and just honestly a huge sensor cluster. I mean, that thing looks absolutely massive, but honestly a pretty cool interior, but not really too much to show you inside of there. I'll give you another quick look at it, and we'll go ahead and open up the other side just so you can see how it looks. So there's kind of a quick peek at it, and yeah. So that's the interior, and now we can get to my overall thoughts of this particular model. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest Lexus LFA guy. I mean, honestly, I think the styling of the LC500 looks better than this LFA. And that might be a controversial take, but this just looks kind of blocky to me. That the LC500 is a bit more swoopy in its design. But obviously, what makes this car so special is the V10 engine that's inside of it. So I get why people like it so much. I mean, they're super rare. It's just a really cool car, though. With that being said, do I think this model is worth $230 or however much they are? Currently, I believe it's that price. You know, I wouldn't necessarily pay that much for this model. I mean, it like I said, it's super heavy. I mean, this thing probably weighs a solid 6 pounds, maybe 5 pounds or so, maybe four. It's a really heavy model, and it just feels really high quality when it's in your hands. But like some of the other features, as you can see, like the flimsiness of the rear deck lid when you pulled up, and then just the lack of the wing being able to hold itself up under its own weight is kind of a disappointment. I mean, I think you'd expect Autoart to kind of be able to do that and get it right the first time, but it's kind of a letdown. And honestly, the rear section of this car, I mean, these big plastic, kind of, I'm not exactly too sure what that even does on the real car. But like I said, I'm not sure if it's real mesh on the real car or if it's plastic on the real car. But I think on this model, it just looks super cheap. I mean, that's kind of like Maisto quality, like designs that they added on there. So that is kind of a letdown. I think what I paid for this, $150, was a really good price. It came with a box and the certificate of authenticity, but I just wouldn't see myself spending $230 on this model. I mean, I think at that price, there's so many things on the market. But I mean, if you want to have an LFA, I mean, I think this might be the only option, besides maybe some fully sealed models that have been released previously. Autoart might be the only option for you to get. And so, like, if you really want an LFA, yeah, it's a good model. And I think if you like this car a lot, you'd appreciate it more than I do. I just wouldn't see myself spending that much on this car. But for a quality rating overall, I would probably give this car a 7 out of 10. Like I said, the weight feels really good, but it's just all the cheap stuff and all the towards the rear end of the model, like that's where it all starts to fall apart for me. Just my broken features and everything just wasn't too great. So I'm not happy about that, but I mean, it is a really nice model, don't get me wrong. But yeah, that's kind of my overall opinions on this car. I might have been a little harsh on it. It is really cool. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, if you agree with me or not in the comments. Is this worth it or not? Or do you think it's a kind of a piece of crap? But I mean, it's not, obviously, but just let me know what you guys think. But thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks.